we can say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level morality.
I get paid to science?
To science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
And we're back. To those listening live or to our patrons, welcome back. For those listening weekly, welcome to the Shift to Reason Radio, the Brainstorm production that tries to educate and inform. We'll take current events and important skeptical topics and try to analyze them critically. Remember, we're live on Spreaker.com every second Friday, and today is April 14th, 2017. I'm still joined by Leo.
Hello there.
Lisa.
It's me.
Renee.
Hello.
Justin.
Yo.
And the amazing Dave.
Yeah.
Yes, I am amazing. That is correct.
I guess so.
Confirmed.
Without a doubt. And we're going to jump right into religious nuttery.
Cornerstone, this might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to and a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
Well, that's good news.
Yep. So, Renee, how do you feel today?
Well, with this article, it's definitely religious nuttery, and I don't know what else to say about it other than fuck ISIS. Apparently, there was 2 bombings in Egypt on Palm Sunday, where they blew up bombs inside Coptic Christian churches, killing apparently. Death toll on Monday was at 49 in the northern city of Tanta. And then there was, where is it here? And 78 people, or no, where is it? Anyway, there was more killed in Alexandria.
Jeez.
And another bombing. And ISIS claims responsibility for it. Now, it's not much to say other than, well, ISIS are assholes. And the thing is Coptic Christians are, they are run around, according to what I looked up, something like 10 or 20% of the population in Egypt, but they are one of the, especially since with the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, I guess he's been kicked out of office, but ever since when he took over, they've been a lot more persecuted.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have a Islamic majority,
right,
and then you have a very Christian group. They're going to get picked on. And ISIS released a statement, or I can't see it here. Anyway, that basically they said that they claimed was the Crusaders and the apostate followers have much to answer for. I'm paraphrasing because I can't find the exact quote here. But
okay,
basically, we're killing these guys because they're Christian and the Crusades happened and yada, yada, yada. And the thing is looking into it, because I don't know a whole lot about Coptic Christians.
Right.
It didn't make sense to me because according to what I looked up, the Coptic Christians have been, they claim that they were founded in around 49 AD.
Okay.
So seeing Christ supposedly died in 33 AD, that was pretty soon.
That's pretty fast after.
That's pretty soon. And, they trace their lineage to St. Mark. So they've been in Egypt for quite some time.
Right.
And, Islam only started in the 7th century. So, to call these people apostates is kind of, it makes no sense. And, it's...
Would they not call them infidels, not apostates? Apostate is somebody who believed and then doesn't believe
exactly.
anymore, but an infidel would be somebody who never believed in the first place, right?
I guess if they were the converts, I'm guessing they have some converts who become Coptics. I'm guessing
possibly
those would be apostates.
Possibly, but it's a group of people that have existed in Egypt since 49 AD.
In any event, I think ISIS is like kill all non-Muslims.
But
they're kill all non.
But then again, I don't think we can hold ISIS to those standards of being reasonable.
Yeah, being rational.
Yeah,
not
we're
much
looking
of this
at
is
it
gonna
thinking,
make sense.
this doesn't make any sense. But they're killing people because they don't believe in the same thing. As them.
I tried finding it and I couldn't find it. I wasn't sure how to do proper Google search for it, but I believe it was the group of Coptic Christians that they had 11 of them all in orange jumpsuits, and they videotaped them beheading them at the.
So they seem to have like a particular hate on for even these Coptic Christians then.
Yeah. Well, because they equate Christians with the Crusaders, even though the Crusades happened how many 100 years ago?
Yeah.
And they were also generally all European invaders, not Egyptians themselves. Like read a book. If you're
maybe President Rene, you'd be like, ISIS, read a book.
Read a fucking book.
Assholes,
yeah.
You only need to read one book.
Yeah, apparently. And it has to be in Arabic.
Read a second book.
It seems like a reasonable solution to this would be, instead of killing each other over the religion, they should just start their own podcast making fun of the other religion.
That's true.
See?
It's much
super
easier.
effective.
Yeah.
Little less bloody, but the thing
bloody.
is they're a persecuted minority, and yes, they're doing suicide bombings during their high holy days, and it's just, I don't know.
Actually, back to what you said. I wonder if there are like Christian podcasts making fun of Muslims, or like Muslim podcasts making fun of Christians. Like, is that a thing?
We should Google that.
I don't think in the
a bunch of Buddhists making fun of atheists.
Yeah, I don't think it has quite the same thing to it. Like the scathing repartee just doesn't, that's not their style.
I could see a group of Catholics making fun of us.
I could see it.
They would do that. I would.
But how clever can it get? Like, they're all going to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these guys. They're all brainstorming and stuff.
No, I know some philosophers who are a little more interesting. But
yeah.
But Egypt did have that Egyptian Jon Stewart, or whatever they called him. What's his name?
Right. I just saw him interviewed on Sam B, and he was pretty funny.
He's hilarious.
It's like 40 years. Oh, good first term. In Egypt, that's a good first term.
Well, what he did was, so he wore this giant hat making fun of, what's the Mubarak dude, like, who always, is that Mubarak?
Well, there was
so he like that fucking hat, like he wore giant one, and then that's why they arrested him. And the day he was arrested, he put on the hat, like while he was walking out being arrested. he put on the hat. Yeah,
because I don't know my Egyptian history very well, but Mubarak was the guy that was in charge for like 40 years, and then they had the Arab Spring, and then it starts with an M, but he got elected, but he was part of the Muslim Brotherhood, right. And then
Sisi's came in and
they kicked him out because he was violating their constitution, and now it's Sisi.
Yeah.
So it's a mess.
Wasn't it like a military coup type thing? Like that Sisi, well, the military kind of removed him?
I think so. Yeah, it was a case of, no, you're too fucked. One of those rare occasions where the military stepped in and was a good thing. But
right.
But, yeah, so summing up, ISIS are assholes. Surprise!
This seems like so odd. Like, where have you ever heard of two religions fighting each other and like killing each other? I don't know. Like, this is like a brand new thing.
Yeah. True. Strictly 21st century type.
Yeah, especially in that area of the world. Like, that just never happens.
No, the difference here is that previously it was usually a bunch of guys all lined up, and it was, and it was very open. Now it's like, they're coming in, sneaking in a bomb, Muslim, and boom,
Yeah.
Going back to your insulting Muslims insulting people, have you ever seen that South Park 2-part episode, Cartoon Wars? Because at the very end, like the whole premise of the episode is that the Family Guy is going to show Muhammad.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's freaking out because Muhammad's going to be on Family Guy.
Yeah.
Which was symbolic of their own problem. But anyway, at the very end, the Muslims, like the Taliban, like have their like retaliation. They're like, "That's it, we warned you," kind of thing. And then all it is this video of them making fun of Americans. It's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm single pregnant mom." And it's like, "Oh, look at me, Jesus." And it's just like it was pretty funny because it was like the point was like, yeah, why don't you just insult everybody then? Why don't we have a dialogue back and forth and make fun of each other's deities?
Like fire with fire, not like.
Not open fire and open fire.
Yeah. It's one of the most profound like episode or 2-parters of South Park I've ever seen. There's so many interesting moments throughout it that are just so meta and so like multi-layered, and it's awesome.
Speaking of religions who are fight with each other, have you guys ever heard of the joke that was voted the funniest joke about religion of all time? Have you guys heard this joke?
I don't know.
Not the Monty Python one, the funniest joke.
No.
We'd all die. We'd all die.
No, this is it. It goes like this.
Tell it.
I'll read it to you guys. Once I saw a guy on a bridge about to jump. I said, "Don't do it." He said, "Nobody loves me." I said, "God loves you. Do you believe in God?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Are you a Christian or a Jew?" He said, "A Christian." I said, "Me too." "Protestant or Catholic?" He said, "Protestant." I said, "Me too. What franchise?" He said, "Baptist." I said, "Me too." "Northern Baptist or Southern Baptist?" He said, "Northern Baptist." I said, "Me too." "Northern Conservative Baptist or Northern Liberal Baptist?" He said, "Northern Conservative Baptist." I said, "Me too." "Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes region or Northern Conservative Baptist Eastern region?" He said, "Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes region." I said, "Me too." "Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1979 or Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1912? He said, "Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1912. I said, "Die, heretic," and I pushed him over.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a brilliant joke, right?
Emo Phillips.
Yes, I was going to say that. I think it's Emo Phillips.
It's a brilliant joke. Voted the best.
It really
right?
is.
Like,
what was the Monty Python one?
Oh, you need to watch it.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure I've seen it.
The funniest joke, like this guy comes up with a joke and he writes it and he laughs and dies, and then his wife comes and reads it, laughs and dies, and then that just keeps going and going and going.
And then
going.
they weaponize it, so he's running through the battlefield telling this joke,
and they translate it to German to have the Nazis read it, but they have to translate it one word at a time, so that the person translating doesn't die. So they give each person one word that.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, it's a pretty funny skit. But what I always find interesting, like I speak a little bit of German, and they're not like when they actually pretend to speak German, it's not German.
No,
like,
of course not.
like when they read the joke,
it's
like
gibberish.
Yeah, it's just like fucking gibberish.
That's good. Monty Python is pretty brilliant.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm going to do my story now. Well, an extra story since we have less people tonight. This is from the Friendly Atheist. Christian leader says God will curse the kids and grandkids of anyone who criticizes Donald Trump. So this was Mary Colbert, and she was on the
Jim
Baker
Wow.
show.
I don't want to interrupt you there, but all our grandkids are fucked, apparently.
Yes, apparently. Yeah, and my kids. That's too bad. But
that is too bad.
So Mary Colbert said that Donald Trump is part of God's master plan, and anyone who opposes him is cursed. And then she decided to go on further to say that everybody's kids were cursed and their grandkids are cursed because God picked Donald Trump. And I've got a quote. "It's not that Donald Trump is all that perfect of a guy. We all know he's not. And we know that he's not necessarily perfect in every way that we would like. That's not how God works. He works through the one he chooses. We don't choose him, choose them. All we have to do is recognize them. And when you recognize a chosen one and you have the discernment to know that they've been chosen and know that the will of God, then your life will be blessed. And if you come against the chosen one of God, you are bringing upon you, your children, and your children's children curses like you have never seen. It puts a holy fear in me.
Ooh. This reminds me. I this is kind of on the same topic, but I started rewatching some of the old Colbert Report shit,
right?
Or Colbert Report.
The Colbert Report. That's right.
Yeah. But so I watched one of the episodes prior to the 2012 election with Pat Robertson, and so Pat Robertson goes on and is like, I spoke to God the other day, and he revealed to me who the next president's going to be, but I can't tell you because that God doesn't want me to say. But he's like, I have a very I know that I love this guy that's going to win, and it was Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. Right. So he was basically like predicting Mitt Romney.
Yeah, and then he right after that he goes, the only way we have to pray, like pray really hard, and then Colbert does the whole bit like where he's like, all right, I'm gonna pray as Pat Robertson told me, and then he's like starts praying like, and then he's like, wait a minute, if he already knows who the president's going to be, why am I praying? It's either unnecessary or insignificant. One of those two. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. All I can think of is it's like a Bill Maher routine where it's like you have these evangelicals saying, "Oh, God picked Trump," but yet Trump has more like gone through the the commandments and added LOL at the end.
Right.
I mean, come on! Like the man's on his third trophy wife. His the 7 deadly sins. That's how he lives.
He should be dead already.
Yeah, it's a terrible joke.
Why is it that when the president that they don't like wins, it's the Antichrist, and when it's the president that they do like wins, then it's God's chosen person? Like that seems really convenient, doesn't it?
Didn't God fuck up by not letting the other person win the other time too, though?
Right.
Well, the thing is,
if they didn't choose the Antichrist, then why was the Antichrist president?
Well, when Barack Obama won, it was liberals were going against the will of God, and therefore havoc was going to reign on the U.S. And there was like people like Pat Robertson saying those exact things, like him and his you guys, America, you have done this. Like you elected a president that is, and God is going to punish you for it. And that's just kind of how it works. Like my political party wins, that's God's political party, kind of thing. But yeah. Doesn't matter who runs for it. Like if Donald Trump had run for the Democrats and won, he'd be the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Like it's such a farce. Like when you the whole thing.
Yeah.
And all of it kind of plays into how fucking convenient. Like half of what was in that statement, right? Like because that whole thing, like she says in there, that's how God works, right? How the fuck do you know? Everybody's got this different version of like the whole he works in mysterious ways bit. Some comedian did something about that. I think it was Jim Jeffries. A surgeon saves a life and we prayed to God, thank God, all this stuff. He performed a miracle. All this. Yeah, how about the talent of this fucking surgeon?
Yeah, that's right.
And
but then he wipes out 1 million kids with some disease or whatever. So, it's like, well, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
It's just everything's so convenient.
It always goes back to that goalpost talk that, who was it, at your conference there? Seth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a conference, for those who don't know, last year that Corey put on.
Yeah, we hit our 1 year since it.
Yeah, and there was a discussion about how Christian just moved the goalposts.
Yeah.
Anytime something doesn't fit, it's like, oh, now the goalposts are over here.
Yeah, that's right.
And now we're scoring over here. Oh, this is God again.
Yeah.
Just basically.
It's completely true, though. I mean, that's exactly how it works, and that's what's so frustrating about everything about it.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I'm like, just because I don't know my history that well in the American politics, but I'm wondering if because we seem to, especially in the last couple cycles, there's been such a push for, Pat Roberts and, the evangelicals. Now, is this only post-Reagan that they have more influence? Because he really embraced the moral majority. And shit.
Jerry Falwell and the moral majority is I think a very post-Reagan or Reagan-esque type.
Yeah, it's definitely a new thing.
And it was only with
like that.
It was only because Reagan really embraced it, and then since post-Reagan, it's become this thing.
There's a book on that. The Rise of the Theocrats is what it's called. And it goes through some of the history of since the evangelicals have come into political power type thing. I can't remember who wrote it.
And one of the guys that was also kind of in the background, like this fucking Pat Buchanan, like the pretty much the guy that Donald Trump plagiarized everything from. Like he's been around since like Nixon, but he always had that like one of the things that is America is Christianity,
right?
And so
he was almost always running.
Yeah, he was always running for some shit, but never. But he was one of those guys that kind of like pushed that, but. That's the one thing that Trump abandoned from him. Like pretty much he took everything else that Pat Buchanan wanted except for the religious thing, and that the vice president is the only remnant of the religious aspect of Paul Buchanan within Trump.
Pat Buchanan.
Pat Buchanan, Pat.
It was actually Attack of the Theocrats, and it was written by Sean Faircloth. Very interesting book that breaks down kind of the Jerry Falwell stuff. And all right, we'll move on to our next atheistic religious nuttery story, also from the Friendly Atheist. Irish public schools are pressuring kids to participate in religious classes. Many schools in Ireland force children to attend religious services against their parents' wishes, and despite the fact that it's against their constitution. They're just not apparently equipped, these schools, to handle kids that opt out. They have nowhere to put them. They have nothing to do with them, so they just make them go to these religious classes.
Yeah, but the Irish have other issues. I mean, they got
They have
their
a lot.
abortion issues. Like, they've got all sorts of religion overstepping their bounds issues.
Yeah.
Is that the Catholic Church? That is the Catholic schools?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right, the Catholic schools.
Okay.
Apparently, all the public schools in Ireland have some religious influence in them.
It's just so
90% are Catholic, and like the rest are Protestant.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that kind of that comes out of that religious war that they had, kind of Protestant Catholic. So basically, you had to draw a line.
Well, I've always wondered that is, I wonder if the real division there is because of, you have your Irish and your English influence. And the English influence is the Protestant.
Yeah.
And that's why there's...
yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah.
Do they not have immigrants? Like, do they not have Muslim kids? Do they
No,
not have
people
Hindu
move out
kids?
of Ireland.
Yeah,
they don't move into it.
They have no, yeah, I guess economically, it's like immigrants don't tend to move places that have.
I think that article might have said something about Muslim students and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I didn't see that. It probably did.
I
though.
could be confusing. I kind of just
Way to read
roll-
things. Oh, good. No, you're doing better than the rest of us.
It might have been
read
from
the
another article.
I went through it quickly and made a few notes, but I did not see that. But it definitely could have been there. What did they do with Muslim students, or did you see?
I was going to ask because I glanced at it. It was a quick read through.
I don't know.
You fit in here pretty well.
That's what I was going to say. You fit in perfectly.
Been here forever.
You did more homework than Gumby usually does.
That's right.
Well, I feel like it's the type of thing where when it's your first time doing something like this, you maybe over prepare a bit.
Maybe.
I wouldn't say I over prepare, but maybe more than I would if I had done it a few times.
Right.
By our standards, you over prepare.
I remember the first time I actually read all the articles. And then I was like, oh, this is not a thing.
Exactly. That's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
And I never. No,
Feeling it
this is
out.
the difference because you're still like you have your. Somebody
Call me
tells you.
naive.
Well, it's just that you're
You're
still
about
in
to.
undergrad, right? So you're still doing your homework. Whereas,
here
like,
we
I've
go.
done like undergrad, grad school, and all the other bullshit after that. I don't do any reading ever.
I
Some-
never read anything.
Okay,
Really?
some
In school?
No, nothing.
Good for
Zero.
you. Good for you.
some websites also state that non-Christian students are required to attend Mass. And one states that Muslim students specifically must fully participate in Christian liturgies.
Yeah, that's fucked. I mean, the whole thing is.
Yeah, the whole thing is
bullshit.
fucked. But not only do they force just opting out people to do it, but they also force like specifically other religions.
But they also serve beer to these students, right?
Do they?
No, that was a joke. This is Ireland.
Oh my god! Okay, suddenly it's okay.
That's part of their lunch. You know, the
If I
can't remember any of the
free
jokes.
beer at Mass. Fuck, why not?
I can't remember any of the jokes, but I'm just flashing to Danny Boy doing a whole thing about being Muslim in Scotland. It's not quite the same thing, but it's popped into my head.
That sounds funny.
I have an Irish brother-in-law, so I can confirm that they're all alcoholics.
Yeah. Well, that's well known.
Just by extrapolating my experience with one person.
It seems fair.
I think that's how you do social research.
I'm
Yeah,
of
that's
Irish
super
heritage, so
significant.
I can actually speak
Oh, there
to
you
that
go.
to some degree. I
Okay.
am a person. I drink.
By that logic, I'm probably Irish as well. I have
There
no
you go.
idea. But
You're a person.
Yeah.
You drink. You're
Exactly.
Irish. That's how this
Hey,
works.
on St. Patrick's Day, everyone's an
Everyone's
honorary
So
Irishman.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it a thing where, like, in like St. Patrick's Day in Ireland is nothing like what it is?
Yeah, it's
here?
not a
It has
thing.
nothing
I
to
would
do with-
assume so.
Yeah, it's not about drinking, and I think the meaning behind him in general has nothing.
Yeah,
It's
in all
actually
honesty,
a saint day, right? Like it's
Yeah.
actually a Catholic saint day for
Yeah.
Saint
Yeah,
Patrick, right? Like it's,
he was not a good person, actually.
but even if he whatever, but I mean, like if
He was a saint, right?
right.
Well,
Literally.
most saints are not good people.
Fair. Fair.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I can list 10.
Well, that's more than me, but yeah.
Don't call me out on it. I'm not sure if I actually can.
Did they actually end up making Mother Teresa a saint?
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because she was a terrible
No,
person.
they
so
don't
it was,
make-
Very terrible.
They don't
Yeah.
make her a saint. God made her a saint.
is she fully
Corey, you're getting
canonized,
this
or is she
wrong.
just like in
That's how it works.
the ante room
right.
of canonization? I think you can't. I think it takes like 90 years to get canonized. I don't know that they've done it yet. I don't know
It
that
could
she. I
be.
think they
Well, it
started
could
the
be
process.
waited.
Well,
for
they
sure.
Yeah.
they did it to John fucking Paul II.
Yeah,
Is he
that's
is he a
true.
saint?
Yeah, he's a
it
saint.
took like 5 years after he died.
There's
Fuck,
it's
this is
just
saint.
about like they have to have miracles
fucking
in their
bullshit.
He
name.
was also a terrible person. This is I think, a running theme.
Yeah, yeah. Those are two of at the top of my list. John Paul II, and then once this Boniface, what's the fuck is his name? This the last one, the guy before this one.
The German guy.
Yeah, the German guy. What was his name? Something with a
Benedict.
He
B.
lasted long.
Benedict. That's
Yeah,
the
that
fucker.
sounds right.
Ratzinger or something. Or
Yeah.
what was it?
Once he dies,
Senator
he's-
Palpatine.
Senator Palpatine.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, totally. There was good memes about that.
You ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis? I'm just kidding.
Well, you know, Corey,
Yes.
Richard Dawkins would have taken issue with you calling children Muslim students. or
Yeah,
Catholic
yes,
students, right?
that's
'Cause
correct.
That's his shtick, is that children should never be referred by their religion. They haven't decided yet, and we shouldn't assume. They should say children of Muslim parents, children of Catholic
Okay.
parents.
That's kind of
Just FY, because he thinks it's very important that we allow children to choose their religion
That's-
when they're old enough to do so. That's his
fair.
argument. And just pointing.
But
I don't know if I subscribe.
Their
but I just-
parents don't subscribe to that.
No, their
Yeah.
parents
No.
don't.
That's the thing. Like,
And quite often, as children,
Religions
they wouldn't.
try to. Like, I mean, that's what you do. That's why McDonald's wants children to come in, because so that you associate, McDonald's with, your childhood, and it gets ingrained in your value system
that's the
early,
thing,
right?
is
Look at all the
That's
child-targeted advertising. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
what religion is.
Religion,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if you never heard any of the Jesus stuff until you were an adult, you'd be like,
That's
well, yeah,
stupid.
I believed in Santa Claus till I was 6. Sure.
Well,
it's
Fruit
the
Loops
same
should-
fucking
That's
thing.
my,
That's the thing.
I remember being a kid, right? And I remember like about 8 years old, and like they told me there's no, my son is in the other room. They told me there's no Santa. They told me there's no Easter. And I was waiting for the shoe to drop, like, and God, right? That's that's a lie
That's
too.
the
Like I
only
remember
next one,
thinking
yeah.
that, and then it was like everyone was like, no, that's real. And you're, what?
Yeah,
but
that one's real.
But all these other imaginary
I'm so
things.
confused. Like it just seemed like this is the other thing you guys wanted me to be good. Like I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
but
it's
you
all
guys
just-
actually, as adults, you actually believe in that. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, that one's real.
Hey.
No, I don't think I ever actually asked it because I could tell by how people talked about God that it wasn't something that they were bullshitting me about. Like they were real. I somehow intuitively knew, but I remember having that thought of being like just waiting, like, and God, just waiting for it, but it never came.
They didn't know they were bullshitting you anyway.
They not on that one. They were pretty sincere there. So, and they still
I
are.
had to look it up. She was canonized on the 4th of September in 2016.
Okay.
That's what I
Well,
thought.
shit.
That's what I thought.
Because there were miracles in her
Please
name.
tell me canonized means launched from a cannon.
That would be awesome.
I wish.
Dead. I
That'd be
mean, like,
great.
wouldn't have been very.
I've actually been
So
to
much better.
a saint's place, like a church from a saint. It was
Oh?
interesting. Yeah, just out of curiosity more than anything. But
See, the problem
When I was in
is
Chile.
Which saint?
what's his name? Hurtado. He was a Chilean saint.
Okay.
And I mean, okay, here's one guy who actually
Wasn't a terrible human.
maybe wasn't 100% terrible human, like he was big into making homeless shelters and providing places for kids to stay and things
That's
like that.
cool.
So was Mother Teresa, but that
Sure.
doesn't.
but her context is a little different though. Yeah.
What about this new pope?
Yeah.
I keep hearing things that sound like he's actually kind of half all right.
That's because the media is really pro Pope ish.
I think it's a matter of comparison.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I think this guy is better because the other guy was Palpatine.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, again, the funny thing is
That could have been the whole plot.
There's one speech from Pope Francis regarding like homosexuality and like a few other things, environmentalism, all kinds of things, and yes, he's pretty much saying the same thing as other popes. He's just saying it differently in a way that's a little less
Yeah.
like standoffish. It's
Less-
like more inviting.
Well,
Yeah.
he's like,
But it's
yeah,
still
no,
the
being
same
gay is
principles.
still a horrible
It's
sin,
still
but
a
we
sin.
shouldn't act like dicks towards
But-
them. Like, I think that's kind of
That's
what he
kind
says.
of
That's
right,
kind of
right?
what he
That's
says.
kind of,
Yeah.
but he still believes that it's wrong.
Well,
Yeah,
if you hear him speak, it actually sounds. He gives off the impression that he doesn't actually believe it. It's kind of like when somebody says something and then wink, wink. He's like, yeah, being gay is still a sin. Wink, wink. Kind of like because the way he says it, he makes it sound like he's kind of doubting some of these things. Like, maybe it's not quite as bad as we once imagined it, but it's still a sin. It's still a sin, but it's
And hasn't he talked about like how there's he acknowledged the fact that there's probably life all
Yeah.
over the universe?
Well, actually, you know what? That's a thing that a lot of people don't know is the Catholic Church actually does officially believe that.
Right.
They're
pretty
surprisingly
progressive that
pro science.
That way.
They're
Yeah.
surprisingly pro science.
The
For
Vatican.
the people who burned Galileo at the stake, they're surprisingly pro-science.
What? Yeah,
It's funny. Out of all the-
Nowadays.
I mean, 400 years removed or whatever it is.
Well, out of all
yeah.
the Christian denominations, they're probably one of the most accepting of science.
They do
Yes.
have actual
Yeah.
observatories that do actual
Exactly.
research.
But
Yeah,
except
right.
for fucking birth control, that's one thing they can't
Yeah,
seem to get
it's-
right.
No, they don't disagree that you can have that birth control exists and that science can make it happen, but they just think it's ethically wrong to do it.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that it actually prevents AIDS. Like that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Like just
Oh, okay.
fucking get over it.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah.
condoms and don't get
They
AIDS.
did. They did actually promote the idea for a while that condoms caused
Yeah.
AIDS in Africa, and that's
Yeah.
much
Oh,
of
Jesus
the
they
issue
still
that
kind of
started there.
they still kind of believe that.
Oh man.
That all these issues with like the real problem in Africa is that they're all morally bankrupt
Right,
Depraved,
right.
yeah.
in the sexual area, and it's like that they think that's the real cause behind all these issues. Like I've heard that said several times. So
That's annoying.
yeah,
But
by
there's,
people
no
locally.
but there's no sex scandal in the Catholic Church, right?
No, no.
Yeah, no, none at all.
Well, did you talk about that last podcast about like the whole thing in Argentina and
No, we did not.
there's like huge scandal of
That
like,
was Australia, wasn't it?
well, there's Australia and
Was
Argentina. There's two
okay.
different. There are two different instances of just
Isn't Pope
Yeah.
Francis from Argentina?
yeah.
That's true.
That in Argentina was like a deaf school, I think.
Oh, Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
I think it was a deaf or was it
Definitely Jesus
blind?
Christ.
But it was like one of those, like a special school.
I could make a really bad joke.
Do we have a sound effect for
Not
a
even-
face palm?
yeah, I'm
like,
not
do we
going there.
have like?
You could just make one like.
Yeah, just
Here, okay, I'm gonna try.
don't hit it too hard.
Ow.
Yeah. All right, let's take another quick break here.
We're gonna take a break.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Very short though.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/Brainstorm Podcast Gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
We are given one life, full of billions of small and large decisions. To be somebody, to change, to be kind, to give hope, to become a better person, and to leave a lasting impact on this planet. It is a decision to be made every single day while your heart is still beating. We've made our decision. Absence of clothing. Atheist and science-based apparel and merchandise, donating 50% of our profits to charity. Look good and feel good, without God. Check us out at absenceofclothing.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for discount codes and other sweet swag.
Use the code BRAINSTORM at absenceofclothing.com and get 10% off.
My name is Jonathan Ariola of TDTFpod. The more voices you hear, the more we observe and feel, the more we learn about the other facets of this complex and wondrous beast that is humanism and free thought. Join me on the science-loving journey through topics like justice, murder, family, diligence, taste, history, society, race, boob jobs, law, addiction, video games, fear, sacrifice, children. Wait, not sacrificing children, that's not what I meant. Bring the popcorn and watch me break down the issues too deep, too fast. Join me at TDTFpod. I'm Jonathan Ariola. Talk to you soon.
And we're back again. When you do a 3-hour session, you got to take lots of breaks.
Yeah.
That's fair, I think. All right. My story from the CBC. Oh, let's do the Woo Report bumper first.
I'm not a scientist, but if I can tell you your science sucks, then your science really sucks.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
Yeah. In Alberta, the Alberta Health Services had some dietitians that warned private foundation that the supplements they were giving could potentially have harmful effects. And somehow the higher-ups in the Alberta Health Foundation Alberta Health still gave this foundation a $10 million grant of public money. And despite these potential risks to seniors and other what's the word?
Vulnerable populations.
Vulnerable people.
Well, I believe the article said that they were giving out these ultra vitamin multi-packs, so like vitamin packs with doses way higher, like orders of magnitude higher than what the human body requires, at the Calgary Drop-In Center, which is a homeless center.
Right.
So you want to talk about vulnerable populations.
Yeah,
that's pretty much
kidding.
the definition of vulnerable people.
Yeah, there's more. Ultimately, like I got more than 7,300 Alberta seniors got it, and that's not even taking into account the number of homeless people and other. It's frustrating when the government is giving a grant to an organization who's giving these supplements to people that are unproven and potentially harmful.
Yeah, from the article, it seemed to say that not only, I mean, some vitamins, you take too many of them, you just pee them out. It doesn't actually harm you. You just You don't use them, right? They're just useless. Okay, that's one thing. But I was getting the impression that some of these vitamins in those doses could potentially be harmful.
Yeah, like vitamin K.
Yes,
in
that
particular
can affect
was
your heart, for example. Yeah.
They say can cause a fluctuating INR, which is a measure of the blood's ability to clot.
Mm.
And is the Alberta Health Foundation? That's not a government.
No, AHS, Alberta Health Services. That is the branch of the provincial government that provides healthcare.
But were they doing it, or they
gave a grant to quacks who gave ridiculously high.
Those quacks were private, right?
Yeah, the quacks are private, but they got $10 million from the taxpayer.
It's the Pure North S Energy. I don't know how to pronounce S apostrophe energy.
Synergy.
That's not a real word. That's
it's probably
it's not a real treatment. I mean, like, what do you want?
It's probably a play on synergy, is what it is.
Oh,
fuck those
Renee
guys.
figured it out.
Fucking synergy. It's not a real word either.
I hate the word synergy, like with a passion. I actually do.
It's such a fucking buzzword that means.
It's like a corporate marketing word.
Yeah,
it's like what you get from the HR department when you go and start.
Which means nothing.
Yes, I agree. It's awful.
But apparently this, one of the owners, Canadian Natural Resources Chairman and Calgary Flames part owner Alan Markin was in charge of this Pure North Synergy.
Well, fuck the Flames.
Fuck the Flames. That's right.
Hey.
I actually have nothing against the Flames. I just wanted to say that, see if you would react.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to love them because I'm from there. I care so much.
It's much like loving the ride.
Are you supposed to love Harper because you're from there too?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
But I don't because he's a
See,
fuckhead.
there you go. You cannot like the Flames.
I don't
either.
like Harper because I actually don't mind the Flames.
Yeah, I got no
will
problem.
watch them.
My brother's there.
Just not a big sport. And I don't know things about sports.
Can we press
Will
one
you?
of those?
Please don't.
You don't care though.
Can we
No.
press one of those?
Oh, push a button. Push a button. Any button. Do it.
too
Do
late,
it. Do
you
it.
missed the
Do
one.
it.
I like this one.
You know, speaking of vitamins,
What's that, a zipper?
so then if we're a lot of like health practitioners encourage vitamin use, right? Like tons I've encountered do.
No, there was a study that came out a couple years ago that definitively showed that, well, particularly multivitamins have zero impact on health.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that
vitamin D, I think, is the only one that really gets that legitimately gets recommended when you live in like a sunless climate such as ours. Every time of the year except summer, when you get enough vitamin D from the sun, it's actually recommended. That's why they add it to our milk, and it's in particular to children. It's important for bone development and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than vitamin D, I think it's generally thought that vitamins are pretty useless.
I'm speaking from anecdotal evidence, but from my experience, all kinds of weird things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think doctors sometimes just they don't know what the fuck to say, so they're like, "Well, try these vitamins."
Well, just get out of my office. Just get out of my office. Try this.
For real.
No, I feel that way a lot. Yeah.
Here, take 2 homeopathic
I think
remedies
this must be
and call me in the morning.
A Saskatchewan thing.
But I know somebody in Saskatchewan who was recommended by a doctor to take iron supplements.
Okay, but did he have anemia?
No, but and it turns out like this person took them for a couple of years.
Oh.
And then went to the doctor.
Constipated? Just a guess.
Went to the doctor, and the doctor did blood tests and like, are you taking supplements? Because you should not be taking supplements. Like they're
really
whoever told you to do that, like
they're an idiot.
just stop.
But it was him.
No, it was a different doctor.
Oh, okay.
a different doctor. Who,
Right.
Okay.
Like so. I mean, that shit
do
does
that?
happen where doctor will prescribe something and then
like when you're pregnant, the docs will say you want to take folic, and because to prevent birth defects, and they will often recommend taking some iron just because you can become iron deficient. But there's that trade off iron in particular. Even if you are anemic, like it's difficult because it actually can make you constipated. So you got to balance it just right.
Yeah, vitamin D is quite common. vitamin K is not something that you generally need.
No, well, if you don't eat enough green leafy vegetables, you might not get it enough of it. I don't know. You could be deficient, but I would say, I mean, long and short of it is, I don't know of any studies that show that any vitamins except vitamin D are useful. Yeah. And then the ones specific for pregnant women.
So the fact that this Alberta Health Services was giving money to this private organization is quite troubling and not very good.
It implies some sort of, I don't know how to say that. What's the right word? Not something's wrong here. Somebody knows someone. It implies some nepotism or some shit's going on here that we don't. That's what it implies to me. Like somebody knows someone who's they're all in bed together and something's happening in that way. That's my guess.
Because you'd think that if vitamins are generally not useful,
right?
You would think that the Alberta Health Services, they would have doctors actually reviewing some of these grants that they're giving out.
And there were dietitians that said, well, this is not a good thing.
Yeah, it seems like the grants that they give out for health reasons, like they would have doctors like, okay, so what are you doing with these funds?
Right.
Kind of the evaluation. So what are these private organizations doing? But yeah, there's definitely something shady.
Something's going on.
Someone's rubber stamping something they shouldn't have been rubber stamping.
That's right. All right. We don't have a bumper for our society story, but we'll go into your story here, Leo.
I don't know how many of you are aware, but Russia is quite anti-LGBT. And this story is Chechnya, which is like a kind of a weird, like a region of Russia, but it's kind of like a weird.
But it's also its own country.
It's like trying to separate from Russia.
It's kind of an sort of quasi-independent region that kind of have their own government, but
it's
are not
the Quebec of Russia.
They have kind of their own Republican government, but they're not
with a lot more heavily armed separatists.
Yeah. But these guys. So there's
an analogy, man.
There's a recent report that came out, and this was verified by the Human Rights Watch, that they started concentration camp for gay people.
Oh, jeez.
So they have reportedly 100 detained gay people in these camps, and when asked about it, first off, they claimed that it was an April Fool's joke. The government officials just somebody wrote that as an April Fool's joke, trying to brush it off. And then when they were confronted again and shown that you actually did that, they just claimed no, there's no gay people in Chechnya.
Oh, really?
Because the families would have gotten rid of them. Their own families would have gotten rid of them if there were. So basically, just saying, nope, we don't have any gay people.
Wow.
Because they would have been exiled or worse. So one of the questions, this is, I mean, it's not it's a new thing that it's to this severity in this day and age, but Russia has kind of, as a whole, they have this weird anti-gay thing.
Right.
Big time. It's huge.
But one of the interesting things is that they're not super religious. I mean, they have the Russian Orthodox, and it's kind of like mild. But normally, in most countries, the surveys show that the more religious a country, the more they dislike homosexuality. So Russia is one of the outliers of that. They seem to not oppose that because of religion in most of Russia.
But probably and I'm just talking out of my ass on this one, but probably it comes more from that idea from 70, 80 years of communism, conform,
right,
conform. And that's probably where it comes from.
The history on Russian, when the Tsarist regime back in the day, they had pretty severe laws against homosexuality. When the revolution happened, in the beginning, they were all accepting about it, and then when Stalin came in, he had some beef with it, and then made it illegal again.
Right.
And so it was illegal till the mid '90s. Well, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, so it was punishable by like 5 years in prison or some shit like that. But so I think that's definitely one of the reasons. In this specific case, Chechnya it gets in the southern part of Russia, close to Albania and like Georgia. So there's
Are they not? They're Muslim.
There's a pretty high percentage of Muslim people in Chechnya. So in this specific case, it seems that it might be linked to like kind of a Sharia law type stuff, like at least to some degree. But kind of more in general, this is not really that surprising, even if it happened in a different part of Russia.
Right.
So
right. Isn't it actually illegal to be gay in Russia right now?
I think so, because wasn't that the big problem?
Well,
with the Olympics, because there was
the Olympics. It was illegal to promote gaydom.
And it was that's what it was illegal to promote it and public displays.
Yeah.
Okay, but not to actually technically.
But I
just
think
be.
it was only to minors. I think there's a law. I don't think it's actually illegal to be gay, but it's illegal to do any sort of promotion to minors. So that includes
I hate
all
the
kinds
gays
of,
always trying to make me gay. They're always like, Lisa, be gay. And I'm like, I don't want to be gay.
It's like
fuck off.
Normally I don't want a dick in my mouth, but then
they keep pushing
telling me to put a dick
fine,
in
you
my mouth.
convinced
Is
me.
that,
Okay.
is that Louis C.K.? Are you going? No, he should go listen to his news because he's talking about how he's going to be gay. Anyways,
Yes.
no, I'm so sick of it. Remember, they're always
What?
trying to convert me.
What's that?
God.
What's that? I think it's Joe Rogan does that one joke that's, you know what the problem is? People that are so anti-gay, I think they secretly are afraid that they might find out that dick is delicious.
It's true.
Well, because why else be against it? Like, why not just be like, you live your life and I'll live mine? Like, what's the
People have this, and I've been told this opinion by. They have this idea that homosexuality is somehow going to ruin the institution of families.
Right.
So
gays have families.
No, but they think that's actually bad for the children in that family.
Right.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
So they legitimately believe that having homosexuality as a legitimate union is actually bad for society. So they think it does affect their kids and other kids and stuff. So,
but how?
I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just saying
that they think that.
Because they're quietly recruiting them for the gay army or the gay mafia or whatever.
But that was also one of the things that the Russian Orthodox Church, that's their official position, that gay people are pedophiles and they encourage pedophilic
because they
behavior.
don't know the definitions of those words.
But that's their official stance. But they did a survey in Russia, and I think only 9% of people who opposed homosexuality was for religious reasons.
Okay.
So most people were just like, that's
cultural.
It's like, this is just not right.
I just think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that might be an element too, because I honestly don't know that much about Russian culture, but there might be that idea of we are manly men, we do manly things, But,
I could see that.
And it's kind of a.
Can they not have manly women then?
Well,
I think they have rules against that.
I've seen some pictures of some of the Russian swim team. There's some manly women.
Not all lesbians are manly. I'm sorry, Joelle. It's my sister.
I'm thinking more like the steroid abuse.
My sister's a lesbian.
But it's
is she listening right now?
probably not.
Oh, that's too bad.
But it's interesting how Russia and China both have a little bit similar stances on it, and neither of them are super like religious fanatics. Like,
no,
so
but they have. But it's the and that's where the thing is whether it's religion or whatever. It's that unquestionable ideology.
Yeah, and I think it does. I think it does stem from this oppressive communist ideology where you have it was once established that this is not a good thing, and then it takes a while, like a couple of generations to weed it out,
right,
to the point where people are like, oh, that was actually bullshit what they told us.
But the thing is if you're allowed to, if this is how society is, this is how society works, if you're allowed to think independently and do other things, that's just bad for society as a whole, right? Like, I mean, that's...
Back before the Daily Show went to Trevor Noah, back when it was Jon Stewart, Jason Jones did this great piece where he went to Russia and he talked. He did several pieces when he went to Russia, but one of them was on this issue of the homophobia in Russia, and he was talking to politicians and leaders, and he was so what are your thoughts on homosexuality? And the Russian guy goes, "What would I tell my children about if there were two men who love each other?" He's like. Jason Jones like, yeah, that's just what you say. There's two men and they love each other. So, and it was just very. But you could see. But you should watch the piece because you could see the cultural, the lack. Like they're just. It doesn't click. He's just like. It just doesn't like. It's just so obvious. And of course, you can't justify it because it doesn't actually. There's no actual rational argument. But like, it's just so obvious to the Russians why this is wrong, and it's. I don't know.
Did any of you ever see the documentary Hunted?
No.
Brutal. Like it's about the like
sounds cheery.
Like Russian Russian kind of they're kind of like anti-homosexual gangs. So what they do they recruit like online, go on dating sites and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
and then invite them out on a date, like pretending to be gay.
Oh my
and
God.
Meet them and then come with like an entire group and just like beat the shit out of him.
That's not.
Oh, it is like this guy. This guy made a documentary, and he got permission to follow one of them, and people were a bit, mad about why would you follow these guys and film them, but he got permission to just film them, and kind of like I don't have an opinion either way. Like I'm not going to tell you what to do or not to do. But he actually filmed them doing it.
Wow.
And then he made a documentary out of it. But it's some bad shit. Like they bring sex toys and then, it is
non-consensual things to people.
It is the most hard to watch documentary that I've ever seen. But
I will not be watching that.
No,
but I take your word for it.
I don't think that I will be either. Yeah, that sounds far beyond anything that I will
It sounds
ever
like
watch.
these people kind of are a bit sadistic and they kind of get off on this.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like a bit. I mean, people go. I mean, this is sexual assault. Like, let's not call it by any other.
It's exactly what it is.
So, I mean, that's.
No, you're right.
All I could think of is there was a Bobcat Goldthwait kind of had a routine about that. Well, not that far, of course, but he's talking about these ultra macho guys, beating up queers, fucking fag, fucking queer, fucking guy I kind of find attractive, and that's kind of like, it seems like they're attacking what they, like their own repressed stuff.
How closeted do you have to be, right, to do that?
Well, yeah, like, I mean...
well, it's also, which comedian is it that says that? It seems like the congressmen who are most against gay marriage are the ones that secretly fuck people in gas station bathrooms, I
think that might have been a Bill Maher skit.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch
few,
of them.
yeah.
There's I think Robin Williams had one too, where it's like, what's with all the Republican congressmen, trying to get blowjobs in airport stalls? Tap, tap, tap. Would you blow me? Tap, tap. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is, I think with both Russia and China, like, I mean, they're both communist and very old cultures, and that could be where part of that comes from. Is that they're still very
set in their old school type mentality.
But then again, I mean, there is, like, anthropologically speaking, there have been cultures that are accepting of gay people and trans people since the beginning of time. So, I mean, it kind of depends on where that...
Well, it depends on where the culture
what the culture is, yeah.
Like, I mean, you go into, say, Thailand, and you have ladyboys, they don't care because they're Buddhists. The Buddhism, they just, like, whatever.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. They don't care.
Yeah.
You know, Robin Williams also said that he really believed in gay marriage because he thought the gays should have the right to be as miserable as the rest of us.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Technically, I don't believe in the institution of marriage at all.
But by that logic, we should force them to get married. Like they need to suffer.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's right.
If we have to, they have to.
I agree. I'm just kidding. I love you, Amanda.
As the only married person still
Yeah,
married.
you're the only
I'm
one.
the married one here.
Shit.
You're not legally married, but you're married.
Yeah, common law. That's right.
It's the same thing.
I always think of like my sister's kid. Like my sister's gay, and I always think her kid's gonna have to come out to her. Maybe it's conversation. You know,
It's interesting.
Mom, I'm sorry, I'm straight. No, I don't think.
Yeah, does one come out straight or?
I don't know.
Well, on that note, I would like to start introducing all my straight friends as straight because
Right.
everybody introduces like their gay friends as gay.
They do.
Yeah.
Like, well, people say, "Oh yeah, Lisa, yeah, she's a lesbian." You know that? I don't say
Right, right.
Oh yeah, Corey. Yeah,
I
he's-
seriously wish
but
I was
he's
cool
straight.
enough to be a
yeah.
lesbian.
There's a new thing. So you were mentioning Richard Dawkins about like religion, like not labeling kids. There's kind of this new thing that parents are doing, not labeling their kids as any gender, like as male
It's
or female or whatever,
non-binary,
like
non-binary.
just. And it's kind of a new thing that's kind of taking off. Like you just a person,
Yeah.
And then
It's interesting.
And then once you hit puberty and you find out what you like or what your flavor. Then you.
I mean, I don't take it to that extreme, but as a parent, I do try. My son says, well, "These are the girl toys." I'm like, "No, there are no such thing as girl toys. Whatever toy you want to play with is the toy you want to play with." I mean, he does go for the Power Rangers and the Transformers. So, I mean, like that's what he goes for, but like that's fine. I mean, it would be fine whatever he went for. Like it's just.
My daughter recently discovered that she's been socialized into liking pink things.
Yeah,
and she's quite annoyed by it. Yeah, like
fuck pink. She's super mad. Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, all of a
Good for
sudden,
her.
it's like, oh my god! Like, I'm buying in at advertising. Well, yeah.
I like this non-binary gender movement for one simple reason that it's like, let's not prescribe anything to anybody. Like let's let people figure that out themselves. And I think that's also in religion too, right? Like same kind of thing. Let's not put belief systems on you.
Yeah.
Let's not put gender identities on you.
Yeah. I think
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I know a guy who does that. I think there are things that can be taken a bit too far. Like this guy, I think he's kind of not involved enough in parenting. Like he actually just lets his kids pick out whatever they want, like whatever clothing. Like if you want to go out in like sweatpants, like that's on you. Like I'm not going to tell you what.
It's funny. That's like the one taboo in my family.
I allow my kid to do whatever he wants.
But I think it's good to not buy them.
Oh damn!
We have our leg.
I was going to say I think it's good to not. Holy shit! Actually,
we'll
I
be
was
right
not
back.
thinking.
We're gonna restart very fast. Here we go.
Derailed me more than Gumby ever has.
Yeah, no, exactly. Whatever you're gonna do, kid.
Okay, we're back and Corey's gone, and that's fine. So now we get to take over the show.
Well, I could tell
listeners.
a story. I was reading an article. This was years ago now, but it was a couple who decided to raise their child for the first year of his or her life gender neutral, in the sense that they didn't tell anyone what gender the child was. Like the parents knew, but like they wouldn't tell grandparents, friends, and kid wore gender because they didn't want whatever their baby being socialized in whatever way. As one gender or the other. So yeah, so they I mean, I think it like pragmatically it would be difficult when they're older because I mean, as a society, like just in terms of the English language, anyways, it's very like he and she is very sort of natural to use those pronouns, and it's. I mean, are you gonna? It would be awkward to call your. I don't know what you'd call your child, but they. Well, there's a bunch of gender neutral pronouns, but like
that is happening now, though.
Yeah, but to actually raise your child that way fully, just for the sake of doing that, I think most parents are way too exhausted to spend time into. I don't personally. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, no.
But I think any of those changes are gradual. I think we could see within many generations that linguistics change, right? Like,
Maybe, yeah. Maybe in 100 years it'll be like, you refer to your child as a he or a she, like that's so offensive. Like, why wouldn't you just let them decide when they're in puberty? Like, that's crazy.
Well, didn't Webster just add they as a
singular,
like a singular pronoun?
Yeah,
I think they did.
I didn't know
officially
that.
now. I think.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I know there's a growing number of my friends who are doing that, and it's something that I.
But how are you going to get the school on board? How are you going to get? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that practical. Like, I don't know. In my opinion,
it isn't. But at the same time, I think it's necessary in some ways. Like, I think eventually it will be, but
I think you're right. It's a gradual thing. Like, it's not going to be all right. Starting tomorrow, we will all refer to our kids as they in singular, like that.
Yeah,
you can't. That's not by decree that changes. Like, okay,
yeah,
it's like slowly people start doing small things, and then it turns into like where it's not a big deal
once upon
anymore.
a time, you guys wouldn't associate it with me. I mean, 80 years ago, you would have probably thought I was. Or you would have thought I
you're
was
weird,
lesser.
but not Christian Brown.
I was just going to say that.
No, but honestly, though, you know what? Like that's even a reality right now. Like, you think of how far removed we are from that. But the majority of white people wouldn't have associated with a brown person back then, except for to have them serve them in some. So things change, is what I'm saying. Like, our mentalities change, the way we talk about things change. So it could happen. We'll see.
But there's an interesting thing that society seems to always be ahead of politics on issues like these.
Oh yeah.
So it's politics always lags behind a couple of decades on most issues, and I'm sure this is going to be the same way. In 10 years, there's going to be like huge movements to try and change policies around this this particular issue.
Marijuana legalization just came out, and society's been way ahead of fucking government in that one. Like,
but if you look at pretty much every single issue, society's always ahead. It's never the politicians that are like up to date.
Yeah.
Well, because the politicians are always trying to go to the broader base, and they're always like 10 steps behind figuring out what they want.
How do I get voted in? How do I get voted in?
Yeah.
That's the primary question all the time.
Yeah, and they're always going to go to the loudest voice, and sometimes the loudest voice are the biggest assholes in the room.
Normally.
But Destin's not here right now. So.
Oh yeah. He wouldn't deny that he was the loudest and biggest asshole.
No, he quite embraces it. Actually, that's kind of the problem with most assholes. Though.
Destin's not a true asshole. I don't think most assholes will admit that they're assholes. They think they're right.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah,
I fully agree with that. I fully agree with myself.
I've encountered a number of people though that like even if you like say like, dude, that's really bigoted of you to say that, they'll be like, fuck, if being a bigot is what goes against you libtards, then fucking I'm good with it.
Yeah, but they in their minds, in their heart of heart, they don't really believe that what they're doing is wrong or not okay. Like they have a skewed sense of entitlement. And
but then again, let's other than outside of fictional worlds, there's no such thing as a person that's like, yes, I am evil. I love being evil. Like it's not going to happen.
Not even Hitler.
$100 million.
Yeah. I mean, if
Dr.
we really
Evil was evil.
Even if we want to, go into Godwin's law and bring in Hitler into this conversation, if you were to talk to Hitler, I don't think he saw himself as evil.
He would say 9.
Nope.
I think Trump might see himself as kind of an asshole and doesn't give a shit. I don't know.
But he thinks that it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Yeah. He does, but he doesn't. He doesn't think him. He
but so does Gumby.
Yeah.
He thinks him being an asshole is a good thing.
He's not an asshole. He's not.
He can justify it. You people need to hear this.
I'm right. God damn it.
He's not an asshole. He's not. He's many things.
Asshole's just one of them.
I think
everyone's got some asshole in them, but I don't think he's an asshole.
Well, everybody does have an asshole.
Yeah, I was just about to say we all do.
We all do. Yes.
You should know that.
I do know that.
Yeah, you've seen them all.
I've seen what you do to them.
The asshole is only a portal to the rectum, my friend.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Let's
And
do
on that
some,
deep note,
let's do some listener feedback.
Does it say we want to hear more about assholes and
More
rectums?
It doesn't actually.
Oh, that's strange.
Okay, so we lost another patron this week.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna jump out on and say either people are having financial issues or they don't like us anymore. But either it seems like I don't know which I prefer.
Maybe it's
I
because
don't want
Leo was
anybody
gone
to have
for a while.
financial issues.
Leo was
but-
gone for a while. Now he's back. So they're going to come
now
back.
they're going to come back.
They're going to come back.
All right. You good. It's on you now. So I was messaging with Nathan on Patreon, and he said, your guests have been top-notch, and I also love the banter when it's just the hosts. Even better when you get super sidetracked and off topic. Well, that's good because that's what
we're
we
good
do.
at it.
we excel at being off
Well,
topic.
maybe we should play that train wreck in honor of Nathan.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I think between all of the hosts, the show finds a very reasonable balance on the social justice spectrum where you're not off the deep end on either side, which is refreshing.
Even Gumpy? No, just kidding.
I emailed him back and I said, I get further and further to the one way, so where I'm sure there are people who think I'm off the deep end on that side of it. So I'm glad he doesn't think that, but I think there are. If you want to support the show, then check out our website, brainstormblog.net, and click on one of the support links or go to patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. There are lots of different levels of patrons, and you can have access to over 40 patron-only posts, including exclusive content recorded during the break, between shows, and monthly content for $5 and up patrons. I've recorded one for April, I guess, and I'll... iTunes reviews. We got no new iTunes reviews. I downloaded and installed iTunes on my computer at home so that I can review other shows. So hopefully we get some reviews from them. If you want us to read your review on the air, just let us know and we will. Even if it's not a 5-star. Actually, if it's a 1-star, we'll definitely read it.
Sobbing,
crying. Will Driver sent us an email. He says, congrats on getting regular contact from people who aren't him. It's great to hear the show growing. I think one of the best things about this show is that it feels like I'm listening to a conversation between informed or mostly informed friends. Mostly informed.
Fool them.
Maybe half informed.
I like the caveat there. That's about right.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. He said, William and I may have to fight if he starts pushing for y'all to be less random and stop talking over each other, because that's how conversations with friends sound. So, because we had a review that said they're getting better at it, not interrupting guests and each other. So some people like us interrupting each other, some people don't. Willie911 also sent an email about our Trudeau episode. He says, does Trudeau suck? The short answer is yes, for a number of reasons, many of which you and the Wayward Atheist discussed. I would just like to say that this episode was easily one of your best, an outstanding diversity of opinion and just enough topic creep to stay interesting. If I may, here's my 2 cents, okay? So all politicians have one thing in common. They want a better country, province, or city, RM, but their paths diverge almost immediately in what exactly that means and how to get there. Similarly, many social and political debates flounder when they really get rolling because folks don't agree on how to define the terms themselves, such as feminism in Canada or fact in the U.S. We're dealing on 2 different worlds now.
Feeling proud to be Canadian here.
that makes our problems look small.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, when we're disagreeing about what feminism means versus fact.
Alternative feminism?
Alternative.
That sounds sexy.
Yeah. As to your discussion of marijuana legalization and police involvement, I would like to add some needed context. I have many friends and one spouse in law enforcement. And the overwhelming consensus is that, excepting criminal organizations involved in trafficking, cops really don't care about pot. They don't. As long as nobody gets hurt, who cares? Making an arrest for simple possession involves generating a file about an inch thick and takes an officer off the street and glues them to the desk for an entire shift for essentially a victimless crime. That shift, in the consensus view, could be better used out on the street dealing with actual crime. However, the police are obliged to follow the dictates of the relevant legislation that governs their enforcement of the criminal code and provincial statute, so their hands are tied.
Yeah.
This is why I ultimately decided not to become a cop, because I was considering it.
You know how many stories I have, though? Like, having worked in this system, like they pick and choose a lot. They're not tied. They have biases.
You're saying they have some discretion.
Yes, they do, and they have ways to exercise that.
The trouble comes when higher ups start saying, you're not allowed to use your discretion in this case. You have to do this.
And that's actually problematic, because city to city, region to region, it changes.
Right.
Like, you can go to Vancouver, and you can do whatever the fuck you want with marijuana. Nobody gives a shit. You can do it. You can pretty much have any drugs, and they just look the other way, or they send you to the right place. But then you go to another city, and it's like Winnipeg, my brother-in-law just got busted for possession.
Right.
For a small amount of marijuana.
Right.
And so, again, like, there's an issue with that too, right? Like, police are so to think that there's like a law, there's a hard law that everybody follows. Enforcement is actually the law. You know, what's enforced is
well, it's like anything, right? This is the wording. This is the personal interpretation, right? And that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
You have in one place they're like, it's not worth the paperwork. Another place, you nail those fuckers to the wall.
That. Right, right. And I thought
screw your brother-in-law.
Exactly.
When I was looking at becoming an RCMP officer, I thought there was more personal discretion allowed rather than citywide discretion or what have you. And I thought, okay, well, if I assess a situation to be of no risk to some people, or then I can make that call. But you can't when you have your boss, your immediate boss, saying, "Hey, why didn't you do that?" And and that's why I ultimately decided that this was not a job for me.
And it's true. I mean, there is definitely a level of conformity. I just think it's maybe less so than people think.
Right, right.
Well, that and the poor pay and the high risk and the being sent to Timbuktu to the first X number of years.
I actually didn't mind half of that stuff. Like I genuinely thought that, if you're given the right amount of discretion, then you can do a good job. But apparently that's not a thing. Related fun fact. Privately, most cops find this whole no alcohol in public bullshit to be a complete waste of time.
Oh, for sure.
Only in puritanical Canada is this carried out to such an extreme. I've been fortunate to travel abroad and in countries where one can walk around with a drink. The social order has not collapsed in shambles. If you're not tossing beer bottles through windows and are generally minding your own business, then carry on, I say. At any rate, folks, well done and full speed ahead. Much appreciated to both Will and Will.
Yeah, thanks.
Yay, Wills!
With the Battle of Wills.
The Battle of Wills.
Nice.
That's actually really cool.
I love your pun.
I haven't been on anything in a while. I don't know if anybody else has been on a thing.
Been on a thing?
On another podcast or do any shows?
Like a boat
not
or
like
something.
a couch. Or
You are on a couch right now.
yeah.
I'm on a thing. It's called a couch.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I haven't been on any other shows. We still have to set up with Uber from the Secular Barbershop, but we will try and get something going.
I do want to go on another show too of time right now.
Yeah, because you were invited on the Wayward Atheists.
Yeah, I've just been so busy I haven't had time to even think about it. But
yeah. Well, hopefully things work out for everybody to get on the shows that they want to go on. I've still got my Hardcore Skeptic Examines podcast that I'm working on. I've done almost 20 interviews right now.
Holy.
And I'm going to start releasing them in a couple weeks at one a week. And then eventually I will have a 4-hour episode where I discuss all of the interviews plus my own research and kind of break down everything. And Gumby and I are still planning to do the Positively Skeptical podcast at some point. But keep listening here for more details. Let's hit the outro music. We are ahead of time.
Yeah, we are. 12 minutes.
And that's the end of the episode. Thanks for listening. Check out the show notes on our website, brainstormblog.net. I'm a bit behind, but I'm slowly working to get things caught up. Very slowly. I have other things on the go. You can get tons of patron-exclusive content by becoming a patron. We do bonus content after every show. I do personal thoughts and content in between live episodes, and I'm putting together $5 content for our $5 patrons. You can join our patrons Will, Lisa, Rob, Aaron, Nathan, Daryl, Marissa, Janet, Stephanie, and the Positively Skeptical podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Make sure to join us every second week when we broadcast live on Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com/user/brainstorm podcast. Our next guest is Dr. Carlos Sulkin, and he will be joining us in studio to talk about atheism and anthropology. He's a professor at the University of Regina, and he's got some published stuff that I don't have links for, but we'll try to share. Thanks, Justin, for joining us this time around. You can find out more about thirdion.com you can find more about Third Ion at thirdion.com. Thanks to Dave for our intro music. Thanks to Alex Kepper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for the intro and some of our ads. And thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music is played either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info on our website, brainstormblog.net, and get your Brainstorm gear at cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcastgear. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.
We just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.